We're all eager for the anticipated first appearance of Batman in the DCU, and with that being said, we just found out who'll be writing and directing Batman Brave and the Bold. But after seeing who they've hired, will this be able to carry the box office presence that it needs to establish the DCU Batman, a character that needs to work to continue the Gunverse? Well, today we're going to find out. With that being said, we just found out that Andy Muschietti is going to be directing Batman Brave and the Bold. We know he's done some good work with the It movies and Welcome to Derry, but we can all forget about The Flash. Christina Hodson is writing, fortunately or unfortunately, depending on what you think of her.
You serious?
How do I feel about that? I'm not too excited. She's done Bumblebee, which was alright, Birds of Prey, which I didn't really care for, and The Flash, which might be one of the worst movies I've ever watched. It's convoluted, there's too much going on, plot holes, and to be honest, the only good thing about that film is Michael Keaton returning.
Right, yeah, of course.
But let's have a little bit of faith. If it's fully fledged out, they develop the script properly, there might be a good chance of it being alright. But is it going to be a serious crime thriller like some of the community wants? Or is it going to be campy and goofy, more James Gunn style? One thing I'm personally worried about is what are they going to do with Robin? I feel like he make or breaks this movie in a lot of ways. At the end of the day, though, it's Batman. People will show up, but Robin seems to be a character that the DC just struggles to adapt in live action. So today I want to take a look at the pros and cons of the top two most talked about live action Robins, that being Chris O'Donnell and Burt Ward. Let's go ahead and start with Burt Ward. And yes, I know there's a couple of other live action Robins before and after him, but it seems that Burt Ward and Chris O'Donnell are in the running for the best and most talked about Robins. So let's get into it. Burt Ward played Robin in the 1966 Batman TV series, and from the get-go, fans of that generation loved him. He's a perfect embodiment of a classic Robin. Ward is frequently called the greatest, or platonic ideal of Robin. He nailed loyalty, bravery, smarts, and enthusiasm. He also has a youthful energy, and he's always eager to help Batman, full of holy something exclamations, and ready for adventure.
Holy Polaris!
Many say he captured Robin's essence and optimism, an aerobatic sidekick who brings energy, light, and partnership to Batman's seriousness. His high-energy performance, wide-eyed wonder, and commitment to absurdity, delivering corny lines with a straight face, made the show fun and endearing. Many credit him for making the silliness work. He threw himself into it, which elevated the whole series. His chemistry with Adam West was genuine and showed warmth and teamwork, on and off screen. Their friendship translated perfectly, creating a wholesome buddy cop vibe that's nostalgic for classic TV series fans. He was around 19 to 21 years old during filming. Playing a teen fit the comic book aesthetic perfectly, better than many later versions. Some call him the best live-action Robin, hands down. 60s kids and retro fans, to them he is the definitive Robin, introducing the character to millions, keeping it fun and lighthearted. Even today, articles and fans defend him. He's absolutely perfect for the show's tone, with endearing appeal and cameos that came later. But even with all the praise, there's still some things people don't like about Burt Ward's Robin. The show's intentional silliness and puns, onomatopoeia, the pows, the bams, moralizing made Robin feel cartoonish or dumb to some, especially those preferring a more dark and grounded Batman story. Critics in later eras saw him as ruining Batman's seriousness, though many now view it as an intentional high camp from the iconic catchphrases.
Holy Polaris!
An exclamation. The constant lines are polarizing, fun and unforgettable for fans of that era, but cheesy or annoying to others who find them repetitive or limited in depth. Robin comes across as wide-eyed and naive, lacking independence, angst, or growth seen in later Robins. Like Jason's rage or Tim's intellect, some comic purists feel it reduced the character to comic relief or a sidekick stereotype. Many complain about the costume and the production issues. The tight, colorful outfit with the visible seams or discomfort drew occasional flack, and Ward himself noted it was impractical and hot. Some fans joke about or criticize the era for the handling of the costume, framing it to avoid certain bulges due to network concerns and younger viewers. Or those into greedy reboots often dismiss it as too goofy or not real Batman. With Robin seemingly outdated compared to edgier takes, a minority hated Robin in general during the show's time, later seeing the psychotic trope as unnecessary, but it's very close to that comic Robin that we're all looking for. Now let's go ahead and take a look at our second Robin, Chris O'Donnell. Chris definitely did the best he could with the material that he was given. A lot of fans say he gave a strong performance in Batman Forever, often calling it one of the best parts of the movie. He brought a real energy and charisma and showed commitment. He nailed the angry, grieving orphan vibe and emotional scenes, and his chemistry with Val Kilmer's Batman felt genuine, showing a solid mentor, sidekick, father-son dynamic. Many see him as having the most Robin arc among live action versions, especially with the now cult appeal for early 90s kids. He's the definitive Robin and holds fond memories, and the films have gained a campy, iconic fan base. His passion can be seen on screen as well, trying to give a real authentic performance with the material that he was given, while also having to battle with being sidelined a little on Batman and Robin by Batgirl. But every time he's on screen, he steals the show, an overall solid Robin, and his performance nails certain parts of the character that Ward's portrayal just never really gets the chance to do, unfortunately. As good as he was, there's a lot more things that the fans aren't happy about when it comes to his Robin. The most repeated complaints about O'Donnell's Robin was his age. He was mid-20s playing a teenage Dick Grayson, typically looking 15 to 18 years old in the comics. He looked too old, which broke immersion, especially with the short hair and the adoption plot feeling off for an adult. Occasionally he comes off as whiny or bratty, or overly angry, repetitively clashing with optimism hopeful Robin fans seem to dislike. Except it worsened in Batman and Robin. He felt like the comic relief, insufferable or petulant jackass, reduced to failing constantly while others like Batgirl overshadowed him. It was less O'Donnell and more the Schumacher films. The neon colors, excess puns, and toy commercial vibe dragged everything down, making his Robin suffer by association. Batman and Robin especially turned him into something fans call awful or generic, with poor writing amplifying issues and the massive backlash to that movie, which O'Donnell has called brutal and heartbreaking for the cast and crew and tainted the whole portrayal. Not being true to comic Dick Grayson, purists say he didn't capture the lighthearted leadership or orientated aerobatic charm of a classic Dick Grayson, more like a mashed up or edgy version that felt forced with a weak execution. And furthermore, that brings us to Brave and the Bold, which we have little to no information on. We know they're not going to go the traditional route and adapt Dick Grayson. It looks like they're going to do Damian Wayne instead. Now that's a very in-depth character, which hasn't been adapted in live action before. If you don't know anything about Damian Wayne, to summarize him up real quickly, it's Bruce's only biological child that he has with Talia al Ghul. Damian was raised by the League of Shadows and is a trained assassin. So if they're going for the we're trying to justify a young kid fighting crime, great, it's a good idea. It could work, but I think that they really have to focus on making sure they develop his story. Like I said in the beginning, it's Batman. At the end of the day, people will show up. I'm going to go see it for crying out loud. And with Batman, it doesn't matter. Whatever he looks like or how he acts or his costume won't matter. It's Robin on the other hand. It's just something they can't mess up. In order to make Damian work, there needs to be a good balance of brattiness with an overall character arc to make him have growth so he works with Batman. Because I personally don't want to watch this loudmouth, bratty teenager complain and cry for 2 hours. I want to see the dynamic duo in action, but you have to establish him as Robin, so then we can hop into the crime fighting. And one thing that does scare me is we all know that James Gunn has a very bad habit of taking control of a lot of these films, which could take away from Andy Muschietti's ability to direct when given the right material. Will there be an overuse of humor and goofiness, which would make them harder to take seriously, but would fit in with Gunn's Superman more? Or are they going to try and keep this grounded, more of a traditional Batman story? Or is it going to be all out there? If you look at the films in the past, like Batman and Superman, for example, when you throw in characters like Batman who don't have any powers and they're supposed to go up against aliens like Doomsday, there's not much they can do. So in order for this to work with Superman, it's going to be really interesting to see how they handle it. And seeing those three characters in the future together would be awesome. But they need to make sure they establish Batman correctly. And if they're trying to adapt Robin, that puts an added pressure on James Gunn. In order for the DCU to continue and to build into these future events, he needs to make sure that he establishes Batman correctly. And with that being said, we're just going to have to wait and see what he does. Now, we don't have any other details on release date, casting, plot, or when production starts, but we have a good director that we know can do great work if he's given the right materials. And we have a writer who seems to be okay. She seems like she has more stinkers than blockbusters, but we got to have a little faith. So we all just got to wait and see. That's all I've got for you today. If you could drop a like and hit the subscribe button, it only takes a second. I would really appreciate you. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.